Before we get into emails, let's talk about this Backlash card. Let's talk about what we are going to see at Backlash. As of this recording, we technically have 4 matches announced. I thought it was 5, but Jey Uso versus Logan Paul has actually not been announced for this show. Maybe it'll be announced, by the time you hear this, but technically Jey Uso versus Logan Paul is expected, but hasn't been announced. Here's what has been announced. So I don't even, I don't think a lot of people think Logan Paul is going to win that match. Number one, because Jey just won it. And number two, also, it'd be like, if Logan Paul beat Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship 3 weeks after WrestleMania, it'd be like, what did we even do that for? What was the point? We had this guy win the Royal Rumble, tell this 2-month story, 3-month story, to get to WrestleMania, to beat Gunther, to have Gunther tap out to what? Lose to Logan Paul 3 weeks later? It feels so improbable and so nonsensical that I think that's what has people saying, yeah, I don't think so. But here's the matches that have been announced, okay? We've got the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way, Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight versus Damian Priest. Now, I think we're going to have different stories told throughout this match between all the participants, but ultimately the headline should, I hope, be what the headline has been on SmackDown, what we've covered here on the podcast, which is now we're ready to have this conversation about Jacob Fatu. Now we're ready to show you what Jacob Fatu is all about. Now we're ready to take you on this ride that you were already convinced you were going to take. You already knew, yeah, this is where I want it to go. But now we're ready to show you what Jacob Fatu is truly capable of. And that he obviously retains the United States Championship. You have Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Now, there are a couple very interesting things in the build of this match. I think there were many scratching their heads about the immediate heel turn for Becky Lynch to come back as a babyface only to turn heel the next night. Now, what I think a lot of people believed was that Becky was turning because Lyra lost the championship for her. But what Becky has spelled out is that ultimately Becky turned on Lyra because she always planned on turning on Lyra because she hates Bayley so much. She took out Bayley, as was first reported / speculated wildly upon here on Not Sam Wrestling, that Becky was the one that took out Bayley. We haven't seen Bayley since. So, and I actually like that much better than making it centered around Lyra. Although I will say, when Becky is explaining herself and Lyra Valkyria comes out holding a microphone, I went, oh boy, I don't know if this is the best thing to do to Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria is incredible in the ring, but for her to go mic for mic with Becky Lynch, and then she comes out and gives the best promo of her career. I thought Lyra was great going mic for mic with Becky Lynch. I thought that whole segment was great and sold me on the idea that, okay, Lyra is believing in herself. She's settling into who she is. Honestly, I would like for Becky Lynch to win the Intercontinental Championship. I think it would raise the status of that title. I think it is more likely that Bayley makes a return and saves Lyra from losing the Intercontinental title, and then we can go on to Becky Lynch versus Bayley. I just feel like, why not have Becky beat Lyra, then move into a story with Bayley. Bayley versus Becky is your Intercontinental Championship rivalry. And who knows, maybe eventually Bayley beats Becky and then Lyra turns on Bayley and says, I never got my rematch. Something like that. But I would like to see an Intercontinental Championship rivalry between Becky Lynch and Bayley. That's me. Pat McAfee versus Gunther is happening at Backlash. Pat has moved a wrestling ring into the Thunderdome, the studio that he does the Pat McAfee show out of in Indianapolis. Pat cut an amazing promo, If I Die, I Die, leading up to this match. Listen, here's the way I would like for this match to go. I would like for Pat to get a week vacation from his radio show or his ESPN show. Started as a radio show, still kind of formatted as a radio show. Now it's on ESPN. Good look for Pat. I would like for Pat to get a week off of his show. I would like for Pat to disappear. You can't expect that Pat's going to disappear for more than a week because the Pat McAfee business is a strong business that cannot just go off. But you can disappear for a week. I would love for him to disappear for a week because what I would like to see is Gunther gets in and he's cocky at first. And Pat's able to take advantage of it. And Pat is able to get the crowd on their feet, right? And Pat is able to get a hold of Gunther multiple times. And Pat is able to get some good moves on Gunther. And the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of the match, maybe 5 or 6, is Pat getting a lot of offense in. And then Gunther clicks in. And Gunther turns it on. And Gunther beats down Pat McAfee to the point that it's uncomfortable. To the point that we don't want to watch it anymore. Gunther beats down Pat to the point that it's not about entertainment anymore. Gunther reminds us all why he's a scary, scary individual. And why commentators should not be wrestling Gunther. And puts Pat McAfee back in that commentary booth. I think the Raw after Backlash, I would put myself on commentary if it were up to me. Instead of Pat. Just to say Pat's not here. You could probably put somebody besides me, but I would put me. I would just not have Pat on commentary the Monday after Backlash. I would see if you could get him off of doing the Pat McAfee show. Put AJ Hawk in the seat for at least a couple days, if not a week. And then Pat comes back on Monday. A little bit more humility. Not, you know what I mean? Like, not mad. Just like, okay, you know, it still stings a little bit, but I'm going to call this match the way I'm going to call this match. And Pat's not going to suffer for that. But Gunther can really, that's how you bring Gunther up in this story. And then, of course, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship. I have John Cena winning. I don't think that I have Cody coming back yet. You know, I think there could be a creative finish here. I don't know that John Cena just winning clean is the way to go because I think you want to have Randy Orton still in that top dog position, and I don't think you want to go off the air with just John Cena winning clean, but I think you want to do a schmozzy finish. If there's any way to make up for the WrestleMania 41 finish, I think now would be the time to start doing that. Come up with something really creative that's going to take Randy Orton to wherever he's going next. Something people don't expect is what I would like to see. Referee takes I would like to take another referee bump, and then something people don't expect to take out Randy Orton. And then John Cena beats Randy Orton. Coming off of Backlash, John Cena can go on SmackDown and say, I beat Randy Orton, now who's next? That's where we move to LA Knight. And Randy Orton, I mean, who knows? Maybe Jacob Fatu. If Jacob Fatu wins that 4-way, and then Jacob comes out and takes out Randy Orton while the referee is down, that could be something people are into. And then John beats Randy, leaves the ring, and then Jacob destroys Randy. And then that's how we go off the air with Jacob standing tall. I think that could be very exciting for people. I think that's something that would make me want to watch on Monday and then again on Friday. And then go with Randy versus Jacob for the United States Championship. Woo, baby. Let's go. Let's go. I talked myself into it. That's a problem because now I'm going to be excited for it and it might not happen. But that's where I'm at with it. Let me know where you are at with it.